Well, howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel. We've got a few more items that we've got to take care of on Private Parts before the race that's coming up this weekend in a few days. So we've gone ahead and are going around and doing some inspection, and everything, not everything seems to be right. So we've got to get the headlight changed on old Private Parts here. Let's show you what we got to do. We do have another thing that we're going to replace too. We're going to replace this throttle cable boot that has just disintegrated over time. So we've got replacement parts for both of those items, and we're going to get to it. There's also a couple other little odds and ends that I want to show you. That we're going to do to old Private Parts to get ready to go to the VORRA race coming up in a few days. At any rate, stick around. Alright, now for those of you who are unfamiliar with the M series 24 volt electrical system, the electrical connections are all watertight or water resistant, unlike what you get on your normal civilian passenger car. So now this headlight, the high beams still work on it, but the low beams are not working, and we need to have everything working correctly because it's a long desert race, and we may be out there after dark. So a lot of that is going to depend on the entries, but all you do is you got 3 screws here, and you're going to pull those 3 screws out. You'll notice that this has got wires attached to the back of the bulb. Each of these wires is numbered, and each of the sockets inside here are supposed to be numbered, but they are not. So let's go ahead and get the camera down here a little bit closer so you can see what we're doing. Okay, you can see, actually, I don't know how well you can see it, but the numbers are stamped there backwards because they're stamped on the other side, but they're stamped with the numbers of the connection, what the connector here is supposed to be. So that one is marked number 18, and we've got number 18 right there. So let's go ahead and get those unplugged and get a new headlight for it. So it's just a matter of, you're going to have to probably hold the back side there of the bracket, twist it a little bit, get these break loose, especially if they've been in there a long time, and I'm pretty sure that these have been in here for about 30 years. Okay. The first headlight we're going to try is a used one, and so we're gonna see if we can get this one to work. What you're going to want to do is make sure that the deal here is at the end of the connector, and what I'm going to get is some dielectric grease, and that will go ahead and kind of help this connection work. Actually, this is a silicone grease, just a little tube of silicone grease. Put it around the outside there, and then match the numbers up. That's a number 17, so that one goes there. Make sure that they are plugged in all the way. What you may have to do is push it out like this Making sure you don't lose that little clip. Plug it in and then slide the connector over it. Next one is number 18, and that'll go up right here. We'll do the same thing with this one. Just a dab on it. You don't need much. And it will help these connectors slide on, or the boots here. Now this is a used headlight, so I do not know how well it's going to work. It should be just fine. But if not, I've got a brand new one. It's just that the 24 volt bulbs for the M series like this, can't just go down to CarQuest and pick them up. So the last one is number 91. Yep, 91. And I believe this one is the ground. All right, let's turn the headlights on and test it. There we go. We've got low beams. And now we'll check the high beams. High beams and high beams. So we have got ourselves a good replacement headlight. Stuff all the wires back in there. Make sure it's right side up, and you'll see that there's 3 locating bosses and the corresponding bosses on the, or locating slots, and then 3 corresponding locating bosses on the headlight bulb itself. And then get the screw holes lined up, and throw the screwdriver on the ground. That's always helpful. There we go. And there we have it. So there we have it. It's not a difficult task to change the headlights on these Jeeps. They're just the headlight. It's just a little bit more complicated than just a quick plug and play like a normal, civilian headlight system. This will allow you know, the vehicle to be submerged, and the lights still work and nothing gets shorted out. So at any rate, now let's go ahead and get that throttle cable boot replaced. This also shouldn't be a very difficult thing to do. There's a clip here. You got to kind of push down and get it swung out of the way and hope that it made it all the way to the concrete. And then you'll want to go ahead and unscrew this thing. This piece right here. Got a little bit of schmutz on there, so let's put a little bit of oil on it. And that should make this thing unscrew a little bit easier. See, now you've got this little piece off. And this should just pop right out of here. And that is your throttle cable. Now, like I said, that boot, it just helps keep dust and dirt from getting down into the firewall, like driving without a top on it or without the doors or the side curtains, you know, slows anything down at all either. So first thing we got to do though is we got to go down onto the ground and hope that clip hit the ground. Yep, there it is. Right there. That's what the little clip looks like. If you do happen to lose this little clip, these type of clips are standard in the automotive industry. If you go down, you might not be able to find them at like an O'Reilly's or an AutoZone, but a Napa should have something like this. But anyway, let's get the new one and get the new one installed. Okay, this one here is not brandy new. It's new old stock. And so I'm hoping that the rubber will last on it, but you just slide that in and slide the threaded shaft. You may have to work at it a little bit to get it to go through because it is going to be tight, which is what it's supposed to do. There it goes. And then you need to make sure that you take and slide, you know, get it started on the, you know, with one lip on one side, and this is really hard to do. Sorry about that. By yourself holding the camera, and I don't know where my magnetic mounts for my camera are right now, so we're just gonna have to struggle through this. There we go. Just make sure that's in there nice and tight. And the last thing we're going to need to do is take this little deal here and thread it back on. So you'll need to pull your throttle pedal out. If you want to, you can mark it as to where it comes out, or you know where it's supposed to go back onto, but I didn't. What we're going to do is we're just going to hold the throttle pedal up We still got to kind of scoot this back a little bit more. So pull it all the way out so the throttle pedal is all the way up. And see, we need probably go one more or maybe two more turns. Yeah, maybe three more turns. And there we go, just like that. Now, the way that this clip goes on, you have to put the clip on the arm there, slide that through, and then clip it on like that, and there she is. Now what we'll do, make sure we're adjusted correctly, we're going to go ahead and hold the throttle all the way down, and boy howdy, that's all the way to the floor, and it still has a ways to go. So we have not been getting full throttle out of Pvt Parts. So what we're going to do is you got to be a little careful. You don't want to go ahead and adjust it out too far so that you end up with a a throttle stuck open. All right, I think that should do it. All right, I think that's just about got it. Okay, this is one of the other issues that we've got. You can see that this rubber bushing that goes between the radiator here and the motor mount is not lined up. So I think that the problem is probably with the radiator mounts. So what we're going to do is that we are going to get on the radiator mounts with a pry bar and see if we can't get that kind of straightened out. Not sure if we're going to be able to. Don't know how hard those mounts are to bend. I do have several others, but I really don't want to go into tearing into that. And this has been a problem that I've had since I've had Pvt Parts. So I've had to replace a couple of these things so far. So we're going to go ahead and get a big pry bar out and see if we can bend the right side one, or passenger side one, down. Okay, so see right up here, let me get the camera in here in a little bit better angle, is this right side lower radiator mount. We're going to get in there and bend that down a little bit. Alright, and you can see I think we may have overbent it, so we need to get down underneath it and kind of bend it back up just a little bit. I think we can get in from over top of the bumper here. Well, we went a little too far. Okay, let's try bending the driver's side one up a little bit. All right, that is much better there. Now this one has a crack in it, so we're going to go out to the private parts stash and grab another one and replace it. All right, we got a brandy new one here, so we're just going to take a 1/2" wrench, unbolt this one here, and pull it out through the slots, and we'll get the, you can see that one's cracked. It's probably not horribly bad, but I would just as soon, I have a few of these because I knew that this could potentially be a problem. And so I bought, you know, whenever I go down to military vehicle meet or something like that, I'll buy, you know, I'll buy a couple of them just to have them for spares. Because the other thing too, you got to remember, guys, is that, you know, if you get an NOS piece, you know, I don't know how long AM General was, I don't know how long the spare parts contract was for the 151s, but, you know, this, at some point in time, the spare parts contract runs out, and, you know, they just don't have any more spares. So whenever, like I said, whenever you can find them, pick them up, and don't expect them to last a super long time, especially if you use your 151 as hard as private parts gets used. Yeah, no jokes about me abusing my private parts, all right? So there it is. This one here, I'll keep it as a spare, so if this one ever really breaks, this one here is still somewhat serviceable. So there we have it. All right, now the last thing I want to do, because I do enjoy driving private parts to work and things, and around town and things like that, and so because of that, because he's small, and because, you know, people nowadays just flat out don't pay attention on the road, I want to make sure that all the lights are working. So this honestly should be part of, you know, this was part of the PMCS, daily PMCS on your vehicle. So we're going to go in here, we're going to turn the lights on, get the switch here, turn it on to service drive, and that should give us our headlights, which we've got our low beam headlights. And then you walk around back here. Now I have, you know, of course, my upper tail lights that you guys have seen in a previous video, my license plate light. And then we've got tail lights here and tail lights over there. So the next thing we're going to want to check is our turn signals. Make sure our little indicator light on the turn signal stalk is blinking. We've got our left side turn signal up front. And we do not have left side turn signals in the back. That is interesting. They were working before. So this is why your PMCS is so important. There we go. That one's kind of sticky. Okay, so we have right side turn signals. I will be willing to bet that there's something in this turn signal switch that is not overly happy. There we go. We got them. Let's check our right front turn signal, which there we go. I think we may be looking at possibly, I know what we got. Hang on just a second and let me get something to help fix that. Okay, I think that this stuff, I have done this trick before. You get an electronics cleaner, you can see how old this stuff is. Radio Shack, seriously. I don't even know if there's any Radio Shacks left. So at any rate, you're going to take the cleaner here. Let's get the camera set up here. Just kind of spray it in and around the switch. Turn it one direction. Turn it another. Then work it back and forth. You'll notice that this gets a little bit easier to use. The other thing, you know, if you're in a real dusty environment, get in there with an air nozzle and squirt an air nozzle in and around all these edge areas there. So now we've got left turn. When she's working good now. Front and back. Right turn. Front. And back. That's the blowing air through it is one of the tricks that I learned driving onion trucks. They're in a very dusty environment all the time, and we had some trucks several years ago that had nothing but problems. The lights would quit working on them, and these particular trucks, the whole lighting circuit went through the turn signal switch because it went up to the you know, that's where you had your high and low beams at and everything. And so when those things would start getting stupid and start, you know, the lights would flicker sometimes, we would just get in there, reach in the cab, and inside the cab we always had a air nozzle hooked up to the vehicle's air system, because these are big 10x10 trucks, you know, semi trucks basically. You know, obviously not a truck and trailer, but it's a, you know, truck with a big bed on the back for hauling the onions. And the mechanics would just tell us, look, if it starts doing that, you know, out in the field or something like that, or at night when we're not you know, easily available, just grab that air nozzle and blow the air out of the turn signal switch. So that's kind of what we're doing here. And it also that particular stuff tends to lubricate a little bit, and so it'll go ahead and help lubricate the switch, make the switch work a little bit easier. All right, now the last thing we got to check is our hazard lights. And that's, you got to push in that little lock. Some of your turn signal switches may be a little different, but you push in that little lock, push it all the way up. We got hazard lights in the front. And we've got all four of them in the rear. One more thing to check is make sure our lights, our gauge lights work. And that our high beam indicator works. And it does. You know, as long as we're checking lights and making sure everything's working right. Okay. Front marker lights are working. Rear marker lights are working. Let's make sure we've got Hopefully, rear brake lights are working, or rear blackout brake lights are working, and yep, blackout drive light is working. Every once in a while, I'll get a crazy idea. I'll go out on a night where we've got a decent moon and run some of the back roads out here in just blackout. It's kind of fun. All right, we had to come back out here and test the brake light marker lights because the backup or the blackout marker lights, there's only a little brake light on the right side. And so, as you can see, it is working. So we're good to go on that. So, at any rate, I really hope that that this little short video, it's going to be a short one, that you learned something from it, that you know, it's nice and informative, and hope you enjoyed it. Remember, please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.